property. And I said, no, I don't. I pay a different amount each month. Every month it's a different amount. And he says, that's because it's an estimate from last year. And he said, I said, well, how long has it been estimated? He said, for 5 years. And I said, well, if it's an estimate from last year, then, and it was estimated last year, then how could, he says, well, it went back 5 years for an estimated of that month. And I said, well, what's the solution? He says, well, you probably changed your phone service or the technology that you use with your phone line, or maybe when the computer called your phone, gentlemen, or maybe when the computer called your phone, you were on the phone or you were on the computer, and there wasn't a reading done, you got an estimated charge. So I said, well, how many of these estimated bills do we have out there? And he said, 2,000. And I said, well, why didn't you ever tell me? And he says, we did. I said, well, I never saw it. He says, well, if you looked at your water bill and the little wording at the bottom, it says if there's an EST next to the amount due, call us and we'll put a hexagram in. I talked to a lot of people since then. I found out that there's a lot of people who are just like me. They don't read every single thing that's on a water bill or on a credit card. You see the amount due, you pay the amount due. So I had a hexagram put into my property, and he didn't want to tell me what happened. And I pulled it out of him, and he says, you owe us $1,400. And that's because 5 years earlier, my usage must have been less than it was then, because if you look over into two green shirts, I've got a 9-year-old and 10-year-old, and about 5 years ago they were less older than they are now, and as you know, 9 and 10-year-olds don't always turn the water off when they should. Or they leave a toilet running and they don't know to jiggle the thing, and all the other things that go along with the lovely parenthood that is fulfilling, but nevertheless challenging. So I ended up having to pay $1,400. This gentleman asked a question about the hexagram, and I'll be with you. You're next, Bubba. This gentleman asked a question about the hexagram that was installed. The hexagram is something that reads your water meter twice a day. It will allow us more accuracy, and then when you come in and you have an issue about usage, we'll be able to tell you not only what day that your usage started going up, or when you had a faucet running or a toilet running or something else, or you maybe had a broken pipe in the house. It will also give you an approximate time during the day when it happened. And we don't have to rely on phones anymore. So you don't have to give your phone number to us in order for it to do a reading. We want your phone numbers, we want your emails, but we're no longer doing water readings using your phone number. So this gentleman wants to know why he suddenly started getting a higher water bill. And it was probably because of the same situation I had where usage, but Joe indicated he's going to come out to your property and take a look. Go ahead, Carly.
Not the higher water bill, it's the usage.
The usage went up.
The amount, 13
right.
or 30. Last month I used 16. I've never used 16 in the 5 years that I have every single copy of my water bill on record with no EST on any of them.
Would you do me a favor? Would you schedule an appointment to come into my office and I'll print out a readout. We'll try to figure out what the problem is.
I got it all written down myself.
Good. Thank you. I promise, Bubba.
Bubba, David Drazen.
Address, David?
Either way, 3137 Hawthorne. I've actually got a couple of things. One of them because I read in the paper today that there was recently a burglary that our fine police force caught the gentleman leaving the former Bell's Gun Shop with 56 cases of ammunition. Now, I know that the former owner of that property had his federal firearms license taken away. Was there no attempt made to secure the firearms and ammunition on that property? Have they been at this point? Or is that something the federal government is?
I think not only was that person's license revoked, but I think that they're either spending time in the big house or did spend time in the big house. And I'm going to have Joe Patty respond with regard to the securing of the ammunition. Do we have any authority over a private entity?
The owner of the property, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. He's still in prison?
He's still in prison, and the Canadian officials want him.
Right. We did not know that there was ammunition in that building. Fortunately, our police officer was right there when he should have been and arrested him.
Are we aware of has the rest of the ammunition been secured, or is that something you can call?
Everything was removed from the building and put into evidence.
Okay.
Okay. So it's vacant right now.
All right.
And the ammunition has been secured?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now, as to the budget, you know, I've heard you talk about how the former administration was, for lack of better terms, cooking the books to make everything look beautiful, moving funds around and the whole bit.
I'm not sure it's
And-
previous administration, but the auditor and the comptroller.
auditors, and they were,
Yes.
they were auditors that the village board at the time approved, because you had to approve them every year, and it was done over and over again for the same auditing firm, the whole bit. We still have 3 members of that original board sitting here, and my question to them is, do you think you were doing the job that we, the voters, put you in place for? Because I don't feel you were. Because if this was happening and nobody was asking the question, and nobody was standing up going, hey, and I'm not just talking to the board, if you didn't get anywhere,